Fauci bombshell, not convinced COVID-19 developed naturally outside Wuhan lab, the Hill story. Anthony Fauci, the director of NIH, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, and President Biden's chief medical advisor supporting open investigation of the coronavirus origin, says earlier this month he is not convinced it developed naturally. When asked about whether the virus originally naturally, Fauci said that he wants to look closer into the matter, according to Fox News. I'm not convinced about it. I think we should continue to investigate that what happened in China until we continue to find out to the best of our abilities what happened, Fauci says. Speaking of PolitiFact, Katie Sanders at an event, certainly the people who investigated it said it was likely the emergence from an animal reservoir, that infected individuals, but it could have been something else, and we need to find that out. So that's the reason why I said I'm perfectly in favor of the investigation that looks into the origins of the virus. He continued, the White House has not prepared evidence to refute the lab leak theory, with press Secretary Jim Paskey saying the Biden administration is concerned that the Chinese government was not transparent from the beginning. Really? Thoughts?
You know, Dr. Fauci, I'm going to say his name right, okay? He loves himself some Fauci, doesn't he? I mean, he loves being on the news. He loves himself some Fauci. He loves being on television. He loves being in the news. He loves doing press conferences. So I've got a suggestion for Dr. Fauci. Go on Shark Tank. Launch the Fauci flip-flops. Right? A little pair of shoes. Summer's coming up. Beach. It'd be perfect. He could make millions on it. Here's my, and by the way, Kai, check your email. I sent you a little something that maybe we can pull up here in just a second.
Fauci flip-flops.
You know, Pat, Fauci, Adam, you guys know people like this, right? They're overpaid and they know it, right? I don't know if there's some sort of phrase for this, but people that know they're not worth the money they're being paid. There are people like that. They're C-suites, you know, people that have, you know, somehow gotten to high-ranking jobs they know they're really not quite good enough for, not qualified enough for, and they're making big bucks, so they have to seem like they're worth it, justifying it every single day. That's how I look at Fauci. He's the highest paid government employee, numero uno. No one makes more money than him. He's the highest paid. He goes out there, he's insecure. Yeah. I can read this guy like a book. He knows he's not as smart as everybody is claiming he is and acting like he is. By the way, when's the last time he treated a patient? If you're going to be the #1 doctor in the country, get the stethoscope out. I want to see you in a lab coat. Get under a microscope once in a while. Be a freaking doctor, okay? Not a... By the way, Kai, did you find this? Okay, he's going to pull something up here. I have a new role for Dr. Fauci. So when we're ready for that, Kai, I'll announce what I think Fauci should focus on going forward.
Okay, Adam, what are your thoughts?
I think when Tom hears the name Fauci, triggers go off. He's just, that's Fauci! And
I don't think he's alone.
I don't think he's alone.
Yes. I don't think he's alone on the left or the right. Okay. I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Let me say something. I am not pro-Fauci, but I am certainly not anti-Fauci. I think he's had a tough freaking job. I think when this thing manifested in China, there was anything we've seen like this in 100 years. And he was maybe a little over his head, but I think genuinely he tried to do his best job. When he said back in March, we don't necessarily need masks, he came back and he flip-flopped on that, and that's been held against him for a year now. Turns out, maybe we did need some freaking masks, and he had to. We did.
Okay.
And he had to reverse on that. However, the bigger story here is this: continue to investigate China. This isn't about Fauci. This is about China at this point. Whether he's overpaid or whether he's coming out with a new line of flip-flops is freaking irrelevant. What's important here is investigating China. You did an interview with a lady who came out and said, I was a scientist working in a lab in Wuhan, and I can tell you conclusively this was invented in a lab in China. And then what happened to that interview, Pat?
Yeah, that's what's crazy when I did the interview with the lady. What was her name, by the way? She was just on Tucker a couple days ago. She was all over the news. She came out and she talked about, Kyle, you're looking up her name or no? She was all over the news. They were talking about, she says, this is a manly. Remember that?
Of course.
So we interviewed her. Yeah. And the interview in 2 days got 500,000 views. Yeah. Then they took it down.
Yeah.
And we didn't understand why they took it down. They also took down a Judy Mikovits interview.
The big tech overlords.
Judy used to work with Fauci in the 80s during the AIDS pandemic that was taking place. So the biggest challenge I have with Fauci is the following. Fine that you're saying now, yes, we need to look into it. But why is the fact that so many other people said we need to look into it, why were they censored?
Exactly.
See, that's the hypocrisy to me. So how many billions of views was taken down? Just because people questioned the source of where it came from. How many? Actually curious to know, think about that. Yeah. It got to a point that you didn't even want to post videos because they were striking, they were putting strikes on it, they were taking it down. So there's a part of it that a lot of audiences, and by the way, we look at our content on Valuetainment. We used to get a lot more recommendation than we do. Our views used to be 75% by recommended from another video. That recommended list is pretty much flatlined for us. We don't get recommended anymore like we used to. Valuetainment's list on Valuetainment, we used to be recommended on 75% of our views. 50 to 75% of our views were recommended. We don't have that number anymore. Why? I don't know. I'm not speculating.
Yeah. Something's up with that, though.
And by the way, I'm not even going to the point of shadow banning or whatever people want to say. If you do want to do that, go ahead and do that. Hey, audience, you know what I tell about the audience? Get even more on notifications. Share the content even more. That's on you. If you really want to see this stuff being shared, share it even more. Be part of a group that we need to get this message out there more. I don't think enough people are sitting there kind of saying, this content makes sense, rather than saying, this makes sense, let me share it with 10 people. We need to get the ability to share even more. People need to be willing to share the content more. But that took place to us last year. I kind of sat there and I'm like, really? Just because somebody said that this could have been from the inside in China. So the silencing part concerns me. I applaud Fauci for saying we ought to look into this. Good for you. But he should have said that 7 months ago.
And he shouldn't have scoffed at on the early days.
Exactly, because when Rand Paul just a couple months ago asked him the question, he laughed at the idea. He laughed at the idea. And now you're changing your position. Look, John Kerry years ago was supposed to be the president. I don't know if you remember or not.
Yeah,
he was supposed to be the president until he got caught what? Flip-flopping. He was the ultimate flip-flopper. Okay, the guy went to, I think he went to Yale. I think he's one of those guys that went to all the right schools. He was about to be the president. He got a lot of heat for what? 1 minute you're saying this, 1 minute you're saying that. You're saying this to the audience, you're saying that to the audience. It should have been Bush. He should have been the president. Flip-flopper. Fauci's starting to flip-flop a lot, and people are getting pissed off. Make up your damn mind with this China situation.
Every politician flip-flops, though.
But he just made the point. Fauci's a politician. He's not a doctor. He's another member of the cabinet, if you ask me. He is not a doctor. He is
a doctor. No, he literally is a doctor.
I will give him that. He's as much of a doctor as Doc Severinsen was when he was the leader of the Tonight Show band. No, he is a doctor. I will give him that.
Yeah,
he went to medical school. He is a doctor.
Okay.
But act like one. Okay, be a doctor. Have an open mind.
Acting like a doctor.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
You want
him
to treat patients like he's
like
some sort of
want him to show
dermatologist
that he could
down the street.
Treat a patient. If you're going to be the top doctor, I have high expectations for you. A little bit more than just going which way the wind blows, which is what he does.
Look,
he's a cabinet member.
The guy, again, I'm not pro Fauci, but I'm not anti Fauci like you. The guy's been put in a tough position. This virus came out of China. He's been how long has he been there? Through 40 years almost?
Which means it's time to go.
Okay, granted. I'm just saying he's been through Republican presidencies, Democratic presidencies. He's been around the block. He knows more than most. So for someone who's like Rand Paul, who's a freaking eye doctor, to sit there and try to battle Fauci.
Yeah, but time out. Wasn't Rand Paul ultimately right? I mean, what he said?
Was he? I don't know.
If Fauci's now agreeing with him.
I think Rand Paul's been wrong more than right.
By the way, he's still a doctor, Rand Paul, eye doctor.
It's not about...
a doctor of infectious diseases versus an eye doctor. I'm going to take Fauci's opinion over Rand Paul.
But also, okay, so fine. But here's a question. Here's a question for you. It's not about whether Rand Paul is right or wrong. It's about the fact that what the hell is wrong with questioning anything?
I'm cool with that.
No, it's not. Then if you are cool with that, Rand Paul is not saying he's right.
No, he is.
Rand Paul is asking and questioning.
Which is totally fine. You can totally question.
Which you, as a person who is responsible for the world relying on your opinion, the world was affected by a virus that came out of China. Do you not think we need to go figure out what the hell happened in China? Do you not think we need to go find out what the hell happened in China? Rather than saying it's probably not them. What do you mean it's probably not them? By the way, here's another question for you. How much money is the right amount of money to spend to find out if they actually did this intentionally? How much money?
Whatever it takes.
Infinite amount.
That's the point there. Why? Why is it so important?
Because it could happen again.
Because if it is true, you know what this is called? If this is true, you know what this is called? This is not this is how many people got killed because of COVID? What's the latest number because of COVID?
Millions.
What is the number? Total death of COVID.
I'm guessing
total number of deaths from COVID. COVID total death.
3 million. That's my guess.
What's the total number? Not just U.S. worldwide.
2.6 million.
2.6 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you realize a Holocaust? How many people?
6 million.
Okay.
That's just Jews.
That's the number.
In total, it was 10 million, probably.
20 million. Say you've heard 6 million to 20 million numbers. Okay. Armenian genocide.
Million people.
1.5 million, plus another 500,000 Greeks, plus another 250,000 Assyrians, right? Cambodia. You want me to keep going?
You're going reparations? Yeah. Is that where you're going with
Are
this?
you kidding me?
Yeah, of course.
Are you kidding me? If you did this, you need to be held at the highest. Are you kidding me?
Agree.
So here's what, to me, everybody needs to put their money up and say, what the hell happened? And they need to be held accountable. This is not, people don't, by the way, this wasn't even that deadly. This was a 1% virus. If this was a 5%, do you know what that is? If this thing's R0 score was even higher than what it is, you know what this could have looked like?
20, 50 million, whatever.
If the R0 score was higher, okay?
Yeah.
Which is the fact that it spreads faster. If it was higher and more deadly, dude, what are you talking about? Like, a couple of us wouldn't be sitting here right now. Do you realize, like think about it, you're not here right now. I'm not here right now. He's not here right now. He's not here right now. A couple of us wouldn't be sitting here right now. So the point is, rather than saying it's Trump's fault, stop. Where did it come from? Let's go to it. I don't care if it costs money. Let's find out, rather than sitting on the sidelines and saying, oh, let's get Biden elected. Oh, let's get Trump elected. Forget about all this politics. What the hell happened? Let's get to the bottom of this. All this political games they're playing is getting old. So the fact that Fauci's finally saying, we have to find out, great. Put a budget behind it. What's the budget? Let's go. If China wants to play ball and they did this, rather than sitting there saying, what are we going to do with the what do you call it? We have a lot of import that's coming from there. We have 80% of pharmaceuticals that's coming from. We have 70% of the chips that are coming from there. Really? That's what. So you're going to keep empowering these guys over and over. If this is true, this is reparations at the highest level. This is, I did it to you and I can get away with it and you can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, and they're working on the next one. It's an act of war, really. I mean, they
do
need
you
to
think they're
address it
actually
that
going to
way.
allow people in the country and to investigate? Point is, yes, we should investigate. Of course we should. Of course we should put a ridiculous budget behind it. Not only the United States, the entire world should do this. But the question is China going to allow people to actually go into the lab, investigate, question people?
Okay, fine. Let's say they don't. Let's say they don't.
Tax that ass.
What I'm saying to you, say they don't.
Yeah.
Okay, like you know how people say, you know how there's cops will go to a house and they say, I know this guy's a murderer. Well, you can't go in unless you have a what?
A warrant.
A warrant, okay.
Yeah.
What if they still don't let you in? What do you got to do?
You got to knock down that damn door.
And what if you can't do that with China? What do you got to do?
Well, you're not going to just knock down China's door.
Because what is our form of knocking down the door?
Spy.
What is
Pay
our
people
form of
off.
knocking
We're going to have to put taxes on that ass
All
and
of it.
sanctions,
You have
all
to
that.
do it.
Of course.
You have to do it.
The world has to do this. It can't just be the United
That's
States
the
alone.
point.
This has to be a global coalition to say,
but I'm sorry.
buddy, we got to come in that door.
India's willing to do it. U.S. is willing to do it.
Australia's willing to do it. Canada's willing to do it. The EU's willing to do it.
South Korea.
So put that thing together.
That's the point. So if that's where we're going, and what I'm saying to you is if Fauci's gotten to this point, this is great news. I like the fact that Fauci's gotten to this point, and I like the fact that what's her name? Paskey?
Psaki. Jen Psaki.
Whatever her name is. Psaki says not transparent from the beginning. The Biden administration is concerned that the Chinese government was not transparent from the beginning. You know what I'm sensing here? Let me tell you what I'm sensing here right now. One of the things America desperately needs right now is the following. You know what 9/11 did? Democrats went and helped chase down Republican kids. Republicans went out and said, hey, Mary, what's going on? I can't find my husband. I'll help you. Let's go. People forgot about it. People just said, what do you bleed? Red, white, and blue. Right. Great, let's go. Today in the world, 2.6 million people died. You know what we bleed, all of us? Red. It's not red, white, and blue right now. Let's figure out who the hell was behind this. And how this took place. So, and guess what? Anybody, including that virologist that went and said this was a man-made, guess what? Let's listen to them. What's the statement in America when somebody gets charged with a crime? What is it called? Innocent till what?
Proven guilty.
Hey, you know what? Let's hear what you got to say. Tell us.
You know, and now people are basically saying what she said wasn't crazy. I mean, you know, maybe you put that video back up on YouTube. Here's the other thing to follow and watch is you're going to see the mainstream media, you know, echoing these same statements that maybe it was coming out of China. And they're already starting to do it. CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, NPR. They're all kind of doing the same thing when they mocked it and ridiculed it, you know, a year ago. Now they're saying, hey, maybe. Now, here's my problem problem with Fauci. You know I'm not a big fan, right? I think he's the mascot of the coronavirus. That's literally what I think he is. But here's my problem with him. People take their marching orders and their cues from him. When he comes out with 2 masks, and he's always got a fearful message. That's what he's always throwing out there. It's gloom and doom. It's never positive. You still see people driving around with masks while they're driving their car. You see people walking outside, no one around them. They have their masks on. Healthy-looking people.
I saw Chris Paul yesterday wearing a mask when Coach Williams was talking to him 2 days ago, and he's at the sideline. I'm like, dude, what are you doing wearing a mask when he's about to go in? He's playing. He puts his mask on to sit on the bench. Are you like serious?
Post-game interviews, they were masking up. It's
spitting on each other, sweating on each other.
And that's my problem with Fauci, because he just goes the way the wind blows, but he's got a voice. He's got a megaphone, and people fall for it.
You talked about Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart has become famous in the last 10 years for doing what? Speaking out on behalf of
both sides.
First responders, though, from 9/11,
yeah, 9/11,
right?
That's right, yeah.
So I have an idea.
What's that?
I think there needs to be a global public hearing, a coalition, a full-on testimonial, testifying in front of a world response, global pandemic, Supreme Court type of thing, and get out there and have people testify as to what happened globally. Isn't there a global, the world court? What's it called? Anyone?
There's a name for it.
Yeah. The Global Coalition Court, whatever the hell it is.
Something.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, keep going.
People need to get out there and testify, just like that Jon Stewart does, and he's always in front of Congress testifying on behalf of 9/11. There needs to be a unilateral triglyceride court, whatever the hell the word is, and this needs to be out there. Here's the question. What percentage of this do you think was the odds that it was man-made versus a bat in Wuhan?
I'll say 80% or higher. I mean,
80%
man-made?
man-made?
Yes, I think China's back there
You're
laughing at us
high?
and thinking about the next one that they can unleash.
Pat.
So if I do the call, I have to keep the phone here, right? Is that what you're telling me? Or no, it's going to be on there. I'm going to say 10%.
10%.
Yeah.
10% that it was man-made?
But let me tell you what I mean by 10%. I'm extremely skeptical. So I'm skeptical, but I'm also not convinced it was 100%, man-made. I'm saying 10%, but to me, 10% is still a high number.
Yes.
I'm a 1 in 10 chance that this was man-made. Why? I think honestly, Trump was negotiating so hardcore with them that they just said, "Watch what we're going to do to you." I think this was a vendetta China had against Trump. And if that's my 10% is that though, that's my 10%. My 10% is Trump was getting in the way because all the other politicians had made it easy for China to compete at the highest level, and Trump made it very difficult. So they said we got to get rid of this guy. So let's throw a thorn in there, and here.
So you're 10%. But Kai, what are you? Percentage it was man-made. Go ahead.
Probably like 5.
5%.
Right.
You guys? Percentage man-made.
I would say 5 too.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
I'm going to Go ahead, Sam. What do you got? I'm going to rationalize my 80%.
No, I said it's at least 50%.
50%.
Why would
Why don't we
they
ask the audience, guys, percentage that you think it was man-made? Tom's at 80%. Pat's at 10%. I'm right around 5-10% as well. I think 80% is aggressive,
time
but
out
be
here.
aggressive.
Time
That's
out
fine.
here. Let me ask you a question. Wouldn't you be more 5 or 10% if the timeline was flip-flopped? Now, government, Fauci, media is all saying it's a very good chance. They weren't saying that at the beginning, and then a year and a half later, they're saying, no, it came from a bat.
Crazy aggressive, Tom, but that's
What's
all
your
good. That's your opinion.
What's your number,
I said
buddy?
5 to 10%.
Okay,
I said it.
That's where I'm at.
Let's get our audience in there.
Yeah, if you're watching this, a lot of people are saying 50%. Yuri says 50%. Kate Lemon says 100%. 100%. Ryan Gibbs says 20%. Angry Happy says 90%. Joshua Tomer says 69%. He feels like, I think he's a little single right now.
He's watching
he's,
Elon Musk.
Yeah, so we got a bunch of, by the way, a lot of people are saying on the high end. I haven't seen anybody at 5% or 10%. Everybody's on the high end. Well, it is what it is. So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.